NBA 2K20 tutorial number 15. Yes, this is the one you guys been asking for, and we'll be breaking down the defensive settings in full today. We will study in detail what the settings can do for you in-game, and also how to use the settings to create the best defensive system you can for yourself. If you enjoy my tutorials and you would like to see more, make sure to click on the link above for my all 2K20 tutorials playlist, where I guarantee you're gonna find more defensive settings videos and also other tutorials that is gonna help you improve your game and have more fun. Now in 2K20, the defensive settings have actually gone through major improvements. The settings are extremely reliable this year, so that actually allows us to have a lot of options on defense in terms of what we want to create and what we want to do with the system. This year, what I'm going to do is, because the settings are so reliable, I will actually show you guys specific systems that are designed to be used by unique lineups. This has never been possible in 2K20, and in this game, team defense is absolutely a real thing. If you actually use a good scheme with great settings, your defense is actually going to be very dominant and very stable. And you're going to have a lot of fun running your scheme based on the lineup you got. So this is very, very exciting. So first things first, I just want to let you guys know that today I'm going to show you what I consider as the strongest defensive system by far. But every year, defensive setting tutorials for me are usually very long. So this year, I'm just going to do them in parts. So this is part 1, but you're going to get the basic settings and what the settings do today. You can click on my tutorials playlist above for the other parts of this system, and also brand new ones in the future that I am going to be making. But in this tutorial, we'll go through the basic setup of what I call our Switch All 5 system. And also through that, you'll actually be able to see just potentially what all of the settings can do for you this year. Now, in order to get your defense correct, you gotta make sure you go to coach settings and turn Adaptive Coaching Engine off. Once you turn this off, it will avoid the computer changing the settings up for you without your permission. So make sure it's off, because we'll be using very specific settings to create our scheme. And also make sure you go to coach settings and turn on team communication and turn it to defense only. This way you'll be able to see AI prompts, so you can see like just how you're running a scheme, but with the AI prompts on team communication, you'll see how the AI defenders are responding to you as you move and defend with the scheme on court. Now lineup wise, to run our Switch All 5 system, you're gonna need a point guard and center that can guard 1 through 5 decently. They don't need to be amazing guarding 1 through 5. They just need to be able to do it. So LeBron James can guard the 1, kinda, and also kinda guard the 5. Anthony Davis can definitely guard the 5, but he can also guard the 1, right? And then also these two guys can guard 2, 3, 4 decently. And then for shooting guard, small forward, and power forward, you just want long guys that are switchable. So Danny Green, Pope, and Kyle Kuzma are perfect. Okay, so that's the lineup you're going to need, or the kind of lineup you're going to need. The settings, though, we need for this All 5 system, I'll show you guys now, and they're very specific, so let's do this slowly. So, on-ball pressure and off-ball pressure at the initial code screen, well, once you set it, it applies to everyone. Set both things to tight first. We'll make changes later with specific players, but change it to tight because you'll be guarding mostly everyone tight with the system. I'll show you the changes later after this, but change tight, on ball, off ball. In terms of force direction, change it to a force baseline. So this will push everybody along the baseline with help defenders, especially if you switch off ball and you let an AI defender defend, you know they're going to force baseline. On ball screen, change it to switch all, because that's our system. And if you change on ball screen to switch all, the hedge defense automatically becomes automatic. That's just how it is. But the key is to change on-ball screen to switch all. And same thing for the on-ball screen with centers. Also change that to switch all. The initial on-ball screen you see up there covers 1 through 4. And then there's on-ball screen bracket center covers how you defend with the center. But change both on-ball screens to switch all, so that we will switch everything. And to stay attached, make sure you change that to no. What that one does is that if you change that to yes, this screener defender won't leave the screener ever. So this is a really good way to defend the pop, but we don't need it because we're running a switch all system. So we're going to change it to no, and don't change it to automatics. No is better. And in terms of post defense, change that to a 3/4 bottom. So you're going to get a little bit of post deny, but at the same time, the post defender is going to be in decent position to help if he needs to come off the post and defend a drive. And obviously, because it's a switch all system, the off ball screen, change that to switch all, so every off ball screen will be switch 1 through 5. And the double team, just keep that at manual, so don't change that to auto, no need for that. And the pre-rotate, change that to no. This is the setting where if a player is about to drive, the weak side defense is going to overload the paint and bring in an extra help defender. We don't need that. We're not playing a overload strong side or weak side help defense. We're playing a switch all defense. So change pre-rotate to no. In terms of switch rules off ball, change that to switch all again, because we'll be doing a switch all defense. So that's important. And then lastly, the screen help rules and the drive help rules, make sure you keep both at automatic. You do that, what that means is the defense is actually going to rotate. If someone gets beat, a help defender is going to come off his guy as quickly as possible, depending on your off-ball settings. And then once that guy comes off, another guy is going to rotate over to help cover that guy. Previously, in most 2Ks, I would suggest change this to help and no rotation, because the AI defense doesn't rotate reliably enough, but they do now, so that's why we can run this all switch defense, and that's why it's so good. So change the screen help rules and drive help rules to both as automatic. Now in terms of specific players, someone like a Kemba Walker, you just want tight on ball and tight off ball, right? That makes sense. And later, anybody that can shoot like Jaylen Brown, Tatum, and Hayward, keep them at all tight because they can shoot. But someone like Kanter, that's the guy you want to change. You want to change his off-ball pressure to moderate, so the help defender is more willing and is in better position to help off of him. Now, in our case, it's supposed to be AD, but it will likely be everybody because we're running switch all 1 through 5, but that's okay. And then you'd be like, oh Sam, why don't I change it to gap then? Kanter can't shoot at all. Or why don't I just change it to leave him? If you do that, would you get very good help defense or very early help defense? Sure. But the problem with both gap and leave him is that it leaves too much space, so then the opposing center is in very good cutting position. And when you go leave him or gap, just the help defender gets cut up. If you're letting the AI do it, they will get cut up in transition or maybe in half transition. So you don't want that. So change off-ball pressure to moderate for guys you believe that can just be left to shoot, so you can have a defender help off of him. Kanter is obviously one. And then another one on the Celtics that you can do this with is it's Marcus Smart. Even though his free ball is okay, he doesn't have a good shot. So you can actually also, and he's not always willing to shoot it. So you can also change his off-ball pressure to moderate to just get a little bit of extra wing help. Alright, so let's go into the game and just study how all of the switching elements we have set up, like how they actually play out in game. So Hayward is about to run a wing pick and roll between him and Tatum here, and we're defending with LeBron and Pope, and those two guys are switchable. Like LeBron and Pope can easily switch this Tatum and Hayward wing pick and roll, and because of our settings, they're gonna do just that. And remember, we have team communication on as defense only. So now you can see computer LeBron is telling me like he knows he has to switch and he's about to do the switch, and he's gonna switch onto Hayward right here. So now as Pope, I understand this is happening. Like the switch is guaranteed gonna happen because LeBron's prompt came up. And as the play developed, you can see this is an easy switch situation, right? The only threat here really is Tatum slipping. And when you're playing this kind of switch defense, especially against the pick and roll, I always suggest you switch to the defender that can defend the biggest threat. And in this case, the Hayward and Tatum. The Hayward drive is not going to be there because LeBron is already in good position. So I'm going to let LeBron computer defend this Hayward drive on the switch. What I'm really worried about is the Tatum slip, because I kind of play too high with Pope here, so that's my mistake, but I see it. So I immediately user controlled Anthony Davis off ball to defend the possible slip that is coming from Tatum, because you can see Tatum is in an excellent position to slip because I previously put Pope at a bad spot. So I decided to control AD in case a slip happens. The play goes on. There was actually no slip because Celtics decided to take a Kemba ISO on Kuzma on the wing. As you can see, Tatum doesn't do pop all roll, kind of just clears out. Kanter also clears out to set up this ISO. Now this ISO is not a bad call because we kind of switch Kuzma on the Walker. But the issue is because we defended the first initial pick and roll so well with the switch, there's only 9 seconds left on the shot clock. Now, it's a Kemba Walker and Kyle Kuzma ISO, but it's only with 9 seconds left, so that's not as bad as like an ISO off top, you know, off the beginning. So I decided to user control AD because I believe Kemba is probably going to get by Kuzma anyways. But I'm letting Kuzma defend Walker as the computer, but understanding that I know Kuzma is going to try to force Walker baseline because those are his settings. And Kuzma does just that. He kind of forces Kemba to baseline, rides him. I bring AD over to help. Kanter was in bad spot, so I was able to contest, switch it over, grab the rebound. Good defense. Now, let's see how our defense rotates to help with all these switch elements intact. So you can see in this instance, Tatum is running a up top pick and roll with Kanter. And we're going to switch this because of the all switch system and the settings we set up. So I changed to AD here to user control him, to switch on to Tatum myself, because once again, in this all switch system, you got the threat when a switch is about to happen, and Tatum is clearly the threat here. So I decided to user control AD to pick up Tatum myself. Kuzma switched over nicely, and then now there's pretty much shut down. But then as the play continues, Tatum was kind of able to drive by AD, so he kind of gets to the elbow area. But if that happens, we know our help defense settings will kick in. Remember, like I showed you guys earlier, our screen help rules and drive help rules are on automatic. That means if anybody kind of just, in case of the drive, if anybody kind of gets into the paint or elbow area, I know the defenders, my help side defenders, are going to rotate over. And I know Kanter's guy is going to come off first and probably most aggressive because Kanter's off-ball pressure is set to moderate. So his man is going to be coming off to help hard in case of any drive or pick and rolls. So you can see in this case as Tatum gets in there, Kuzma is on Kanter, so he's coming to help. Danny Green at the same time though can still help a little because his off-ball pressure on Brown is tight. But you can see Kuzma is now playing the drive, AD is kind of recovering, and now we have created this nice pocket of help defense on that Tatum drive. He gets nothing, he has to pull out. But Kuzma, AI Kuzma, made a help IQ error here. He has decided to switch onto Tatum, which is bad. It's a bad call by Kuzma. But the good news is though, because I have a defensive communication on, at least I know Kuzma is about to make this mistake, so I can clean it up for him. I had to clean it up, but I can't because of team communication. So I controlled Kuzma myself and pick up Kuz, user controlled. And then once that happens, I quickly user control AD back so I can pick up Kanter. So that was very nice defense, and it happened at kind of like a second, but that's the skill gap, that's the user control, but we were able to do it. The settings were solid, we get another defensive stop. You can see here again is a wing pick and roll, and here comes the switch. So I'm going to control AD here as the hedge defender to switch on to Kemba because Kemba is the threat. The play continues, I do the switch with LeBron, perfectly shut down. Now we get this ISO. And once again, I understand what's going on. It's a switch, but they're running out of time. This is an ISO with 5 seconds left. So I'm going to force Kemba into LeBron help. Why am I doing that? Because I know if Kemba drives by me, the first guy that's going to come off to help is going to be Kanter's guy. And in this case, LeBron has switched on to Kanter. So I'm going to shade Kemba in a way that it forces him into LeBron. So you can see I do that. I'm shading him. I'm forcing him to LeBron, knowing LeBron's going to come off to help hard. LeBron does that. Block it with AD from the back. Beautiful defense. Another stop. Now let's study how off-ball switching works with everything else we did here. So you see in this case, Kanter is about to set an off-ball screen for Jaylen Brown. And you can see Green and Davis is reacting to this because we have changed or set up our off-ball screen rules to switch all. Majority of off-ball screens done are going to be switched. You can see AD and Danny Green are about to switch this because Danny Green actually got screened up. So then AD picks up Brown and Green picks up Kanter. So the off-ball screen by AD and Danny was done very well there. But LeBron got beat because I kind of set too much on Kemba's side. So Kemba is going to be able to get into the paint. Now, you can see as that happens, Kuzma helped a little bit off Hayward, but watch Danny Green. He came up extremely hard off Kanter because it's on moderate, so Danny Green goes fully to challenge the shot. Kuzma kind of just shows and stays there with enough time to recover, but Danny Green shuts it down. That's great help defense alongside with all of our switch elements. Now, take a look at this again. This initial off-ball screen by the center onto the wing there, they don't always lead to switches because the AI is going to decide the threat level of the off-ball screen. And if they deem the threat level not high, they're actually just going to, like, easily just go over the screen and, to stop it, because there's no switch necessary. Now, on this other side though, you see this Tatum off-ball screen, the AI has deemed this as a big enough threat to switch. Majority of the time, they will switch like 90% of the off-ball screens. But if the off-ball screen is done very poorly, the AI won't switch it, and that doesn't really hurt you, because it's a bad off-ball screen, so why switch it? This Tatum one though was decent, so you can see the AI is about to switch it. They switch it right there, so now LeBron's on Tatum, Kuzma is on Kemba. The pass has been swung onto the corner to start the possession, and as that happens, it will swung back around, and you can see Hayward does a drive, there's nothing, so it goes back to Kemba. There's an up top pick and roll here, so make sure you always user control the switch defender that's about to defend the biggest threat. I've been trying to drive this point home. You want this defense to run well, you have to do it that way. So you can see, obviously Kemba is the biggest threat, so now I'm gonna user control AD to make sure I switch on the Kemba nicely. I did not switch on the Kemba nicely. Kemba got around, but LeBron came to help because our defensive settings, so they were able to shut it down, grab the rebound. Still works. Now, what the 5 all switch system also does for you, the system, is that it makes transition defense much better. You can see Kemba Walker got the ball, and they just transition offense. But you can see AD and Kuzma has already committed to a switch. And just focus on this slowly. You actually really never see 2K transition defense go this well, because they don't switch well in transition defense. But since we're letting them switch everything, they will. And because of that, the transition defense is solid, unlike if you play a regular defense where AI does a very bad job with switching in transition and then switch back when it's regular half-court offense. So these next few clips, I just want you guys to see the system in action before every switch and how it plays out. And you can see it's just all the off-balls are stopped, the on-ball are switched, and then because of the unique lineup, we were able to switch 1 through 5 decently, and we were able to shut it down. I do suggest if you're playing my team, build a lineup like this, so then you can do this 1 through 5 switch defense. It is easier to do, and it's also very powerful, because another user is not going to be used to seeing something like this where you switch everything. Majority of plays and even pick and rolls are heavily dependent on, a regular defense messing up their rotations or messing up their assignments. When you run a switch all defense like this, as you can see it playing out in front of you, there are no assignments. There's no prediction. Like, an offense can't really damage you by running plays or pick and rolls or trying to get you a pick and face, because you're switching everything. Can they hurt you through ISO? Sure. But you have 5 long defenders, and remember, if you're doing this, they have to do some sort of action first to create a mismatch, and you're gonna switch that action, so that doesn't hurt you, and they're gonna have very little time left when it's time for them to run that ISO, right? This is truly a very exciting and team-oriented and effective defense. So here, let me show you guys just the rest of the clip, how I set up the settings in detail, so you can see it and follow it yourself. The previous screenshots, they're actually fine, but you can now just see it here, so you can have a point of reference on exactly what I did with every settings here. I understand I told you guys this was part 1, because here I just kind of wanted to show you guys just how reliable the settings are and what you can do with it, the potential, and if you use a switch on system, what it looks like. But tomorrow when I bring up part 2, I will show out more detail on how to run the system better. So obviously in that game, you can see when I was labbing it against the Hall of Fame Celtics, I was doing very well. But there were obviously a lot of little things that I didn't do, and I got familiar also with the system, so I know what to do with it. I'll go over those in tutorial. The next one, I will go over that in part 2 with you guys tomorrow, because I don't want to overwhelm you here, because this initial one, I just want you guys to see that the settings do work very well and they're very reliable. You can even run a complicated switch defense like this. Tomorrow I'll show you exactly the finer details of how you can perfectly control it. Alright, but if you guys enjoyed this, add me a like, and please, if you got any questions, leave it in the comment section. Defensive settings tutorials could be very confusing, so if you got questions, please leave it down here. And as always, shout out to BucksGG for the sponsorship and the opportunities to give me, and obviously, as always, for you guys' support. I really appreciate all of you following me this year and obviously the previous year. I learn as much as you guys learn from me, because I always participate in the conversations in the comments, right? So you guys help me a ton too, and I appreciate that. So I'll be back in the grind, back to labbing, and once again, I'll speak to you guys very soon.